Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me again here on the Way Shore. My name is Carol, and today I'm going to talk a little bit more about what's going on right now because it is a big topic. I'm not going to be addressing the virus, but I will be talking about the mass awakening in a sense. So I realize that these videos only skim the surface of what is going on with the virus and the mass awakening, etc. I will be going live on Facebook with some of my fellow readers from Crystal Magic Psychic Center. So Friday, April 10th at 3 p.m. Arizona time, which I believe is the same as Pacific Standard Time, California time, we will be live on Facebook, and we will be discussing how we work long distance over the phone, via the chat lines, etc., and how that energy, how we are capable of doing readings and healings and energy work without being in person, face to face. Along with that, what we really want to discuss is the changes that are taking place on the earth right now and in every society around the globe. So I highly recommend that if you have questions, to please stop by our Facebook page and on Friday at 3 o'clock. And that makes it 5 o'clock Midwest time and 6 o'clock Eastern time, I think. Anyhow, there will be other readers available at that time, so they will be able to give you their spin on it too. Now, we don't all see everything that's going on the same way exactly, but we do agree on the reason that it's happening. So you'll be able to ask questions if you stop by our Facebook page. I will also be doing a live YouTube broadcast from my page here, but that probably won't be until Saturday or Sunday. I will let you know ahead of time. So anyway, and at that time, I will do my best to keep up with the comments and answer whatever questions you might have, and possibly do a brief meditation. So what I want to address right now today is about the earth changes, the information that I got about how long it was going to take for us to go through all of this, and when the energies would begin to stabilize. I also want to share information that I received about how we are moving from the third dimension to the fourth dimension to the fifth dimension. So I asked that question this morning to my guidance system, and the reason why I asked it is because I have, since all of this has really kicked into gear, I started looking around on YouTube and doing some research on the internet, trying to find out how many other people were picking up on the storm and the mass awakening and the dimensional shifts. So as I did that, turns out there's quite a few, so which is nice to know because it means I'm not going crazy with the information that I'm receiving. But anyhow, the thing is that some people are picking up on us going into a fourth dimension, while others are picking up on us going into a fifth dimension. And besides wanting clarity on that, I also wanted to know what it was going to feel like once we make this shift, and what it is going to look like. So I did get information on that that I would like to share with you to give you an idea of what is coming up. And when I asked my question too, they made sure to tell me that this is the likelihood, this is the likely scenario that we are now headed towards. The reason why this is a likelihood is in part because of the mass group meditations, etc., that have been and still are going on around the globe. And meditation is not just they're not referring to simply meditation, but also to prayer. Prayer is a form of meditation. Meditation is a form of prayer. So that leads me into the last topic that I want to touch on briefly, and that is about the groups that were coming together that I saw back in November when I got around the time I got the information of how long it was going to take for this to stabilize. I received the information about groups coming together where they would be like the Dakini, like angelic beings. They would be doing that type of work energetically through their meditations and their visualizations. So, and then I did hear from one person. So, Renetta McElvany. Hi, I hope you watch this and know that I'm extending my gratitude, as well as I'm sure everybody else is extending their gratitude towards you and the other workers who have come together in your groups to focus positive energy and help assist the changes that are going on right now around our world. So you are the ones that are making this much easier for the masses. And just like everybody is saying thank you to the EMTs and the hospital workers, etc., for being on the front lines, I think that we should be thanking you and all of the groups that have come together around the globe to meditate on peace and love, to help shift us into a higher vibration and help us create a more heart-centered and uplifting reality. So thank you, Renata. The earth changes. I'm going to start with that one since that's the first one I put down. So what is going on right now and has been going on is the earth, and I'm sure you have probably heard this already, is the earth going through her transition from third dimension to fourth dimension. So there is a lot of upheaval going on inside of her body. The earthquakes and the volcanic activity, the storms, the winds, the wild weather changes, all of that is part of Earth going through her shift from third dimensional reality into fourth dimensional reality. And as with things like, so when she has her upheaval moments, an earthquake or tsunami or something like that, of course it affects us, and it sends us into, it sends humanity into their own upheaval. The earth changes along with how that is affecting human beings on an emotional and psychological level, along with all of the other things that are going on that are not connected to the earth changes, like the economic fluctuations that we're having right now, 5G and other internet-related things that are going on, and political things. So all of those changes, all of those upheavals that are taking place right now are happening because we're supposed to be shifting realities. And in order for this to be a smoother transition, we need more people to wake up. And therefore, we're going through a global awakening right now. So the information that I received back in November was that this shifting process and all of the upheaval is going to take approximately 13 months before it begins to stabilize. So 13 months I got the message on November 12th. So 13 months from November puts us into December of this year. Keeping in mind that time is an illusion, and so it is not an exact thing. Rarely is it an exact thing. So roughly 13 months for all of this upheaval to begin to stabilize. It is not stable. It just begins to stabilize somewhere around December. So what that will look like at that time is that we will still have people in a third dimensional mindset, but we will also have, hopefully, if things continue on the course that they're on right now, we will have a large group of people. The majority of people should have begun their entrance, their life in a fourth dimensional reality. And then likewise, those who are now in the fourth dimensional energy field will begin to move into the fifth dimensional energy field. So now we come to the third, fourth, and fifth dimensions and how that is going to work out. So keeping in mind that all of this is going to begin to stabilize somewhere around December. So the third, fourth, and fifth dimensions. So the way that I understand it, and this is going to be very brief, the way that I have been given to understand it this morning is that the fourth dimension is the space from which the psychics and the mediums and the healers and the channelers operate from and live from most of the time. So in the fourth dimension, the veils are thinner. And so a lot of people have been experiencing that. I've heard a lot of people say, I had something in my hands and I turned around and it's gone. My own nephew says that he has put something down on the table and turned back to get it and knew that he put it right there and could not find it and started to get frustrated and upset. And then when he told himself to calm down, be in a state of peace of mind, and he would figure it out. And as soon as he did that, he turned around and it's back where it was, where he knew he had put it. So a lot of people are beginning to experience that, and that's the shift in the dimensions. So in the fourth dimension, from which a lot of psychics, healers, readers, channelers, intuitives work from, it's a place of where the veils are very thin. So we're able to communicate with those who have passed over, and we're able to get our messages from our guidance system. We're able to feel what is going on across the globe. We are able to manifest things more quickly. Now, we are, well, most of us anyhow, are human too. So this is a process that we have been learning for many years. And we know that we need to, when we're working with energy, we need to get out of our own ways. That sometimes our head, our thoughts, our little mind can get in the way of creating what it is that we want. So we have been working on that, but we spend most of our time living through the fourth dimension, being able to interact with those in the third dimension, and yet those in the fifth dimension and sixth dimension and higher frequencies, etc. So now when as this shift is occurring, this is happening right now, everybody who has been existing in the third dimension, they are moving into the fourth dimension. So in the third dimension, everything is very concrete, very physical, and very logical. And so those who exist primarily in the third dimension may touch occasionally the fourth dimension, hear a thought, see a ghost, have a vision, manifest a parking space, manifest an apple. So, but they cannot do it on a regular basis. They go in and out of that. So they're in and out of the fourth dimension. So they call a psychic, they call a reader, they go see a healer, they listen to the channelers and the messages that we bring across, because they are not accustomed to being in the fourth dimension on a regular basis, so they're not getting their own information and manifesting on a regular basis. So they're all moving into the fourth dimension. And some people who have never touched the fourth dimension are going to be moving into the fourth dimension as they complete their awakening, go through their awakening process. So they're going to be needing assistance and guidance from those of you who already have some understanding of how it works. So the analogy that I was given this morning when I asked about the third, fourth, and fifth dimensional shifts was they told me to imagine a fan. And it has 3 settings. It has low, medium, and high. So they said third dimension would be the low setting, fourth dimension would be the medium setting, and fifth dimension would be the high setting. So if you turn your fan on and you turn it on low, you can literally see the blades going around. And you can count them. You see where there's no confusion about where the blades are. You can see the blades. When you put the fan on medium, the blades turn faster, and they almost seem to become one. You can still see the blades, but it's more of like a collective experience with the blades. They almost begin to merge together visually. So then when you put the fan on high, the blades are turning so fast that you can't even see them. You can actually see straight through the fan itself to what's on the other side of it, because the blades are turning so fast you cannot see them. So that was the analogy that they gave me this morning in reference to the third dimension, fourth dimension, and fifth dimension. So those of us who have been operating primarily from the fourth dimension, and I think that maybe a lot of us didn't even realize it, because I didn't realize that I've been operating primarily from the fourth dimension. But so being in the fourth dimension, you can see the third dimension and interact with it, and the fifth dimension and interact with it. But those who are in the third dimension cannot access the fifth dimension, if that makes any sense. On the third dimension, you're kind of subject to your pawns. And on the fourth dimension, you're becoming creators. So, and I'm focusing mainly on the fourth dimension because that's where many people will be moving to, is the fourth dimension. Keeping in mind that my information says that it will take approximately 13 months for this to all begin to stabilize. So I and other readers and healers, I have not shared this with my fellow readers and psychics over at the center, so I'm interested to hear what they have to say. But we have been operating from the fourth dimension. I don't know how many of us have realized that, because I certainly didn't realize it. I never really thought about it. In the fourth dimension, the veils are thin, which means that it's easier to hear, see, and feel, and to know things from other dimensions and other realms of existence, including that which is dark. So you need to know what you're doing, and you need to have your discernment in place, and you need to be able to keep yourself positively focused at least the majority of the time, because in the fourth dimension is where you start to create your reality. So right now, as the world, when I say world, I'm talking about the human population and the animals, etc. But so now as the world and the planet get ready to transition or begin their transition into the fourth dimension, this process taking approximately 13 months to stabilize, to begin to stabilize, you need to be very aware of where you put your focus, what it is that you allow yourself to feel and think about. Keeping in mind that emotions are your thoughts plus your feelings. That equals emotions. Whatever it is that you're thinking, the feeling that goes with it creates an emotion. That emotion is energy in motion. So if you allow yourself to have negative thoughts combined with negative feelings, anger, irritation, fear, sadness, extreme sadness, I should say, then that is going to create an emotion of that is negatively polarized. That negative polarization, that emotion, is going to be energy in motion, and it is going to, that negative polarization is going to assist you in creating a more negative polarized reality. So your task then becomes, for this transition period, to stay as positively focused as you can and to use whatever tools and means that you need to in order to stay positively focused. Relationships are going to begin to dissolve and fall apart because one person may not be able to raise their vibration high enough to stay positively focused, while the other person knows in their heart and soul that they need to make this transition, and so they need to stay positively focused. So accept everything in grace. Do what you can to change things, to make things better for yourself. Do not become focused on saving anybody other than yourself. Stay focused. If you are into meditation, focus love and light for the rest of the world to be able to have an easy transition and to see and know the truth inside themselves. It's not to see and know anybody else's truth. It's not to see and know a political agenda. It's not to see and know the truth about some religion. It's all about what's inside of you. It's all about what's inside of us. This is where the focus needs to be, and it needs to stay positively oriented in order to begin to create your positively focused fourth dimensional reality, which will begin to stabilize sometime around the end this December, the end of this year. All right, I love you all very much. I'm stopping here. I can keep on going. Talk to you soon.